Checkpoint 4, Solving Linear Equations, Part 2, Fractional Coefficients. Equations in one variable with fractional coefficients may be solved in a variety of ways. Commonly, the first step is to multiply all the terms by a common denominator to remove the fractions. Then solve in the usual way. Combine your like terms, isolate the variable on one side and the constants on the other. Finally, divide to find the value of the variable. Example number 1. Solve 1/2 x plus x minus 3 equals 1/3 x plus 4. So the first thing they did is multiply by their common denominator, which for 1/2 and 1/3 will be 6. And you're going to multiply everything on both sides by this common denominator. 6 times 1/2 x will give you 3x. 6 times x is 6x. And 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. On the right-hand side, 6 times 1/3 x is 2x, and 6 times 4 is 24. The next thing we do is we combine our like terms. 3x plus 6x is 9x, and that's the only like terms we have to combine. We then add 18 to both sides, which cancels out the 18 over here, and then 24 plus 18 gives us 42. And we subtract 2x from both sides. 9x minus 2x will give us 7x, and 2x minus 2x will cancel. So we have 7x equals 42. You then divide both sides by 7. 7x divided by 7 gives you x, and 42 divided by 7 gives you 6. One thing that they don't show you here, but that I would like you to do on your homework, is you need to go back and make sure that you check your answer. So you take 6 and plug it back in. 1/2 times 6 is 3, plus 6 is 9, minus 3 is 6. 1/3 times 6 is 2, plus 4 is 6. So it does work. For example number 2, y over 2 plus y over 3 minus 3 equals y. So the first thing you want to do is determine your lowest common denominator. In this instance, it's going to be 6, since 2 and 3 can be multiplied by 6 to eliminate. And again, you want to multiply everything by 6 so that it stays equal. 6 times y over 2 will give you 3y. 6 times y over 3 will give you 2y. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And 6 times y is 6y. We combine our like terms, 3y plus 2y, and subtract that, which is 5y. So we subtract 5y from both sides, which leaves us with y equals negative 18. And when you plug it back in, you realize that it does, in fact, work. Now let's look back at a few more examples. 1/6 m minus 3 equals negative 5. We want to multiply everything by 6 in order to get rid of the 1/6. 6 times 1/6 m leaves me with an m. 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. And 6 times negative 5 is negative 30. You then add 18 to both sides so that they cancel on the left, leaving me with only an m. Negative 30 plus 18 gives me negative 12. For part B, we have 2/3 x minus 3 equals 1/2 x minus 7. Again, our common denominator will be 6. So we're going to multiply everything by 6. 6 times 2/3 x will give me 4x. 6 times 3 gives me 18. 6 times 1/2 x gives me 3x. And 6 times 7 gives me 42. I subtract 3x from both sides, canceling out on the right and leaving me with an x on the left. And I add 18 to both sides, canceling out on the left. Negative 42 plus 18 gives me negative 24. And again, if you plug that back in, it does work. Now for part C, x plus x over 2 minus 4 equals x over 4. You're going to multiply by your common number of 4, which will eliminate both x over 2 and x over 4. 4 times x gives us 4x. 4 times x over 2, the 4 and the 2 cancel, leaving me with a 2x. And 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. On the right-hand side, the 4's cancel, leaving me with just an x. So again, you want to get your variables on one side and your constants on the other. So in this instance, you're going to subtract x from both sides, and you're going to add 16. 4x plus 2x minus x will leave me with a 5x. And then when I add 16 to both sides, I get 16. When you divide both sides by 5, you get x equals 16 fifths. So now let's look at some of the problems that you're going to be working on your own. And we're going to start with number 1. We're going to solve each equation. So I start off with 2/3 x minus 7 equals 1/3 x plus 3. So you hopefully noticed that your common number is going to be 3, and you multiply everything by 3. 3 times 2/3 x gives me a 2x. 3 times 7 gives me negative 21. 3 times 1/3 x gives me x, and 3 times 3 is 9. You then want to get your numbers on one side and your variables on the other, so the first thing you're going to do is add 21. The 21's cancel on the left, leaving you with 2x. Your x is brought down. 9 plus 21 gives you 30. You then subtract x from both sides. 2x minus x leaves you with an x equals 30. Now because you're doing this on your own, you're then going to want to go back and plug your answer in to ensure that it works. So we plug it back into our original equation. So not the one where you multiplied here. You want to go back to your original equation always. So we have 2/3 times 30 minus 7 equals 1/3 times 30 plus 3. 2/3 times 30 gives us 20, and 1/3 times 30 gives us 10, since we're doing our order of operations. 20 minus 7 is 13, and 10 plus 3 is 13, so 30 is the correct answer. Now we're going to jump down to one that's a little more complicated, which is going to be number 10. We have 1/3 y minus 2 plus 1/2 y equals 1 plus y minus y over 6 minus 3. So hopefully, as you're looking at that, you realize that your common denominator is going to be 6. So we're going to multiply everything on both sides by 6. 6 times 1/3 y will give me 2y. 6 times negative 2 will give me negative 12. 6 times 1/2 y will give me 3y. 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times y is 6y. 6 times negative y over 6 is negative y. And 6 times negative 3 is negative 18. So next you want to combine your like terms. 2y plus 3y gives you 12. And on the other side, 6y minus y is 5y. And 6 minus 18 is negative 12. Now you may have already noticed that you have the same thing on both sides. I chose to add 12 to both sides, which gives me 5y equals 5y. Now what you probably noticed is that if you divide both of those by 5, you still get y equals y. So you don't get a variable equal to a constant. Now hopefully you remember that from checkpoint 1, when you have a true equation, so something like 5y equals 5y, or 10 equals 10, then your answer is all real numbers. I hope that helped you understand checkpoint 4, solving linear equations. Again, if you have any more questions, you are welcome to email me at mbrenner@d131.org.